So just to kind of frame my talk a little bit, I'm not going to try to go into every detail about how the card works, because that would be up here all night. So I'm going to try to keep it to about 15 minutes and just do an overview of what the card is and why we're excited about it. And then if you have specific questions about anything that I said or that you want me to go into more depth on, we can either do that as a group afterwards, or we can break off into individual conversations to address those more specific issues. So that's kind of how we're going to work. So thank you all for coming, and I'm excited. I've started working with this card about 3 months ago, and I'm really excited by the card, and I'm really excited about the possibilities, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to share that with you. And I hope that you're excited as well. So when we think about the Common Good card, I think it makes sense to start with the basic question, what is the Common Good card? And there's several different ways that we can think about what the card is. Maybe the simplest way to think about it is that it is a payment system. It's a way to transfer money, to send money to each other. Another way to think about it might be as a complementary currency, meaning that it's its own currency. And we choose the word complementary instead of local or alternative because it's meant to complement the US dollar. We're not trying to replace the US dollar, we're trying to serve a slightly different need. We could also think about it as a way to generate funds for the community. One of the features of the card is that it creates a community account that money goes into with every transaction, and then it's up to us collectively to decide how to use that money. And we can do some pretty cool things with it, and we're really only limited by our own creativity. We could also, going along with that, we can think about the Common Good card as a platform for democratically controlled money, coming together and educating ourselves about how money moves through our system, and also about how we can take more control of that system and use it to benefit our community as a whole, use it to promote our values. That's really at the center of what the Common Good card is. So to try to boil that down into one sentence as much as I can, this might be that sentence. The Common Good card is a tool that helps advance economic resilience, democratic control of our money, and the programs and values that we as a community hold in common. And if I want to pull out any one thing from this definition, it's this right up here. The Common Good card is a tool. It's not the end product, it's not the end result. If all of Goshen suddenly adopted the card, we would not suddenly be a magical land of prosperity with dancing in the street. It's just a tool. But it is a very powerful tool that can do some really cool things in our local economy. Okay, so how does the Common Good card work? This is especially an area where if we want to go more into it afterwards, we can do that. But a quick overview of what a transaction might look like. Say we have Cindy Citizen over here, Farmer Fred. She wants to buy a bag of produce. If she does that with US dollars, some of that money gets redirected through a credit card fee, through a transaction fee into a national bank. That money leaves the community, it leaves Goshen. It's not benefiting us here. Alternatively, if we have the Common Good system, she pays the farmer, she gets the good, the transaction part of it works cleanly, it works smoothly, but then it has the additional benefit that both the consumer and the business have the option to donate to this community fund or community account, and in its name, community. It's driven by us, and what happens to that money, we get to choose. We get to invest that money back into ourselves, back into our community. So that's really exciting. Keeping that money local, keeping it circulating locally is very exciting. So why Goshen? Kind of what's the story of how the Common Good card came to Goshen? So there had been an idea for local currency that had been kicking around for a little bit, and it was Chris Meyer who connected with Common Good Finance, which is the national nonprofit, and they were launching this alternative currency project called R Credits. And they have a vision of building a network of communities across the country that use this currency. Goshen liked what we saw and became a pilot community in 2015, and since then we have been in a micro trial stage where we're trying to figure this system out. One thing that's interesting to note is that the system was initially marketed more as for personal benefit. So the things that were advertised were things like credit rewards, and it's free to sign up, and businesses don't have to pay transaction fees. And people were interested, but it wasn't enough. People actually become a lot more interested when you talk about the communal benefit. I think that's especially true here in Goshen, where we already have such a strong culture for looking out for each other and for the common good, that community benefit really makes sense as what we talk about with this card. Kind of going along with that, when that focus was made, the national group decided to change the name of the card to Common Good, which, and on one hand, is awesome because it's a great value to get behind. On the other hand, it makes things a little bit confusing for us here in Goshen because there's already so much discussion about the common good. So that's why we've decided to try to refer to it as the Common Good card to distinguish ourselves from just the general idea of common good. So the primary organizers, as Phil mentioned, we're all here tonight if you want to come talk to us. And we are in a micro trial stage, and that's very important to emphasize. And what we mean by that is that we're still experimenting. We're still learning how this card works. We're still learning what the possibilities are. And in this process, it's something that can't happen in a vacuum. We have to be getting feedback. We have to come together and have conversations like this, evenings like this, where we hear feedback. And we hear new ideas and new ways of thinking about it, and what questions are people having. So we really hope that everyone here can accept an invitation to offer us that feedback and offer us our opinions and become involved in this project. And in that way we can make sure that we're really creating something that works for Goshen and not just works in our minds. So why are we excited? Well, there are several reasons why we're excited. I think maybe the first one that I'll start off with is economic resilience, and thinking about resilience as the ability to adapt to changes in our economic context. So how does the Common Good card help us do that? Well, it's community-based, it's trust-based, it's relationship-based. The system works because we say it works. It's not this big nebulous idea, kind of like the US dollar, that's really hard to wrap our mind around and is really complex. It's here, it's built by us, it's designed by us, and it's designed for us and for our values. One of the ways it does that is that it promotes local economic circles. It keeps money flowing within Goshen instead of moving out to other communities. And one of the tools that helps us do that is we can track how credits move through Goshen, and we can see where they're going and where circles are already created, but also we can see where credits are getting stuck and where money might be leaking out of our community. And once we identify those places, then maybe we can find some creative solutions to redirect some of that money back into Goshen. Also promotes diversification. You know, it's a complementary currency. It's a local currency. It's not going to promote big box stores. It's going to promote, you know, to use the cliche, mom and pop stores, the main street stores. And also the fact that it is a different currency, a complementary currency, it creates a bit of a buffer between the US dollar. And if the US dollar falls, if we see another recession, this could potentially create a bit of a buffer and keep the cash flow moving in our community. We don't necessarily have to be as affected by what happens on Wall Street if we have a strong complementary currency. And these last 2 points, democracy and education, they are actually so central that I gave them each their own slide. So, there we go. So democracy, the Common Good card really is about community control of our capital. And I think this quote really says a lot. Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws. Money really shapes our lives in very powerful, but in often very invisible ways. And so that's a kind of a whole rabbit trail to follow. We'd be happy to talk about after. But if we accept that as true, if we accept that the system of money, how money works, how money moves through the economy, shapes how our communities are set up, how our businesses operate, then we have to ask ourselves, why do we have so little control of it? Why do we even have so little understanding of it? And I believe we have to then accept a responsibility to say, we are going to change the system. We're going to design it not so that it benefits the largest players, but that it benefits everybody. It benefits our community as a whole. And the Common Good card gives us some really good tools to do that. It gives us, and these are things that we're very excited to explore moving forward. It gives us a platform to engage all of us at events like this, to be able to bring people together and have conversations about money. That is a very cool thing, a very powerful thing. It gives us an excuse or a space to have further conversations. And it also gives us a platform for voting. And this is something that we're excited to explore going forward, but it allows us to decide together how to use money in our community fund and how to tweak rules about how the system works, about how the card works together. So when we can make those decisions together, we can really make sure that everyone is accounted for and we're not leaving people behind. But in order for that to work, in order to be able to make those decisions wisely and make sure that they're following through on delivering our promises, we have to know what we're talking about. So that's where education comes in. And the Common Good platform really does provide some good tools for increasing our economic literacy. If you log on to your account, you can find a lot of graphs like this one. This one shows the circulation velocity of Common Good credits moving through Goshen. So the system allows us a lot of ways to track the economy in Goshen, to track how money is moving through. And it gives us a better understanding of economies kind of on a concept level, but also very specifically, how is this working in Goshen? It also gives us, as I was mentioning earlier, the opportunity to hold events like this. That is very powerful. And then another reason why we're excited is we're able to partner with businesses. So this is a video of Myron that I'm going to share. It's about 1.5 minutes. And he does a really good job of explaining the reasons that he's excited about this card and why he became a member. I also want to point out that videos like this are a cool capacity that I have and that the card has to be able to do cross-promotional. So we're promoting the card, but we're also very much promoting the electric brew with this video.
From the very beginning, the brew has been a gathering place, and so gathering place is why we exist. Relationships are why we exist. The Common Good card is a tool that drives people to relationships. So if it can enhance relationship at the brew and in our community, to me it's a great thing. The implementation was pretty easy. The front end when a customer comes in has been almost flawless. I went through the whole process on paper and I just step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I gave the piece of paper to one of my employees and I said, now just follow the instructions, don't ask me any questions. And she looked at it and she kind of went through and she goes, oh, okay, I get it. And she just went through it without a hitch. We pay 2.75% for credit card fees. Of course, the 2.75 always leaves the county, circulating some of that money locally. I think that just makes our businesses, all businesses, stronger.
So if another business came to you and said, we see that you're doing this, we're thinking about doing this, what advice would you have for that business?
I'd say get on the diving board and jump off.
If there was water in the pool.
Good point.
And what's the worst that can happen?
So these are some quick numbers about where the Common Good Project is in Goshen right now. We have 7 businesses signed up. Not all of them are accepting credits. They're working on getting their point of sale and their accounting system set up. We have 50 individual members signed up. We have over 7,000 in the escrow account, which is the account that holds US dollars. When you trade in US dollars for credits, that's where your US dollars go. And we also have 518 Common Good credits in our community account, and that's created by the crumbs and the roundups with each transaction, as well as donations. You can donate directly to that fund. Some resources that you should be aware of. If you have questions, comments, ideas, feedback, you can always come talk to us about anything that's on your mind. We also have an FAQ, which is in the business packet. It's also on our website. It's also on that table right there. And it is pretty exhaustive, so hopefully that answers questions that you have. The business packet goes more into specific details about how to set up your accounting system, how to set up a point of sale. We also have a Facebook group, which if you are a member, hopefully you are also part of the Facebook group. If not, come talk to us and let us know. But that can also be a platform for sharing ideas and stories and feedback. And then we have our website, commongood.money is our website, the Goshen website, and then commongood.earth is the national nonprofit's website.